Hello everyone, it's Carbs here, and I'm back with another exciting tool, Loop Draw. Loop Draw is a tool for Aseprite that allows you to draw on the canvas while the playback is playing. Quite good for doing particle effects or some sort of fluid motion. So in today's video, we're going to go ahead and go through each of the settings and show you guys how they all work. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video. There is a quick and short video. If you haven't seen that already, I'll link that down in the description. Also want to give a quick shout out to Gizmo199 or Game Dev Gizmo on Twitter and JJ Hager, both of them from the Aseprite community forums, for coming up with this cool idea of taking this from Gamemaker and kind of bringing it into Aseprite itself, and then kind of expanding on their idea and bringing new features in. So super cool, super cool. Shout outs to them. Also want to give a quick shout out to Giuseppe in the Discord. Has been sharing all sorts of fun little ideas and just having a blast with the tool. So thank you so much for using the tool and coming up with all these cool ideas. Also have a special thank you to Pen USB Mic for featuring my tool in one of their videos recently. I'm super honored and I can't wait to see what you do with the tool. You're kind of a pixel genius, so it's going to be awesome. That being said, I can't wait to see what everybody does with the tool. So anyways, let's go ahead and get started. In this video, I'm going to show you some examples that I've come up with, but I'm sure you guys will take it to the next level and come up with all sorts of fun things. So can't wait to see what you guys do with this. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So once you get Loop Draw installed, it's going to be up here under Frame Loop Draw. And this will open up the main dialog. So a couple of little things here. You're mostly going to be playing around with is looping and is drawing. So if I go ahead and put some frames down here on the canvas, and then if we toggle is looping, you'll see that the playback is looping, and that's going to be extremely helpful for loop draw. Now likewise, if we go ahead and press is drawing, this will go ahead and start drawing on the canvas each frame. So you see that it goes ahead and does exactly that. Now that might be a bit cumbersome, clicking on this while you're trying to, actually draw your image here. So, of course, everything has hotkeys. So we can find these up in Edit, Keyboard Shortcuts. And if I just go ahead and type in Loop Draw, you'll see here these commands. So we'll get into some of these more advanced features here in a second. But the one that you want to pay attention to and get started with is the drawing and the looping. So I've got this set to 1 and 2 on my number pad. So that's really helpful to be able to just use my number pad to get some stuff moving. So if we go ahead and do that, I'll go ahead and press 2 on my number pad. So you'll see that is looping is going, and now I can go ahead and press 1 and start drawing on the canvas. And there we go. I can press 2 again, and that goes ahead and that stops it. Pretty easy, pretty cool. There's also a hotkey in here as well that will toggle both. So if I look up loop draw again, let's see here, looping and drawing. So I have this set to numpad 3. So if I go ahead and do that, it will go ahead and toggle both looping and drawing. So here we go. So now we can just go ahead and start drawing. And then I can click 3 again and it goes ahead and turns it off. So let's go ahead and scale our thing down here just so I can show you guys multiple things. And of course, this just overwrites what you already have. So I'll go ahead and hit 3 again. And now we have some more. Woo. And there you go. So it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun to play with. And that's kind of the basis of this, right? So essentially being able to move and draw on the canvas while the playback is going, which is the Loop Draw claim to fame here. There's also support here for custom brushes. And if I go ahead and load up some custom brushes real quick. All right, so I've got a Chocobo here, of all things. What the heck, we'll use him as a brush. So I'll go ahead and select him and do Control B to make him a brush. And now let's go back into our sprite here. So again, I'm just going to go ahead and toggle on the is drawing and is looping with my hotkey 3, or you can use the toggles over here. So now let's go ahead and do this. All right, let's see how it came out. Here he comes. Yo, chomping along. There's Chocobo. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You can use custom brushes, and I mean the door is wide open here for all sorts of cool effects that you could do with this. So another neat thing that you can do with the loop draw and the custom brushes specifically is use like an animated brush, and I'm doing this by using Ben's brush, which is another plugin. I'll link that down in the description, of course. So I've got this player run animation. So you see here we have all the frames here for the player run. And I've gone ahead and just created a brush set from that. So now whenever I press the hotkey for my next brush, this will go ahead and do the next one. What's really neat with that, and in combination with loop draw, is that we can go ahead and start looping, and I can kind of have him run across the screen here. It's sort of like a live animation thing. So let's go ahead and just try this. So I will start looping, and then we will draw, and I'll kind of try and hit the hotkey for the next brush. So it's not, listen, it's not perfect, all right, but you kind of get the idea. You can do some cool stuff here with some sort of animation. There we go. That one's a little bit better. So it's kind of a fun little thing to do. So again, I have this set up with Ben's brush, and then that way we can use kind of custom brushes that change over time. And I have a hotkey for next brush. So these two tools work really great together. Being able to change the brush and draw it at the same time. So, all right. So another cool little basic thing here that we have is we can adjust the playback speed. So we can go ahead, we can set this to, let's say quarter, right? So it's really slow. I still got my Chocobo brush. Okay. Let me grab just a regular brush. So now when I go ahead and I start looping, you'll see that the playback head is actually going really slow. It's going 25% of the whatever the frame speeds are here. So yeah. So now if we start drawing on this, what this will allow us to do is get a little bit more streaky. So you see we've got more of a trails thing going on there. And if I go ahead and just play this back at regular speed, you'll see it kind of has multiple distinct circles there. So that's pretty fun. So we can also increase the speed as well, so you get a little bit less. This is something you'll have to play around with to see what kind of effects that you can get by mixing the different play speeds, and we'll get into the brush settings as well. So triple, this is going to go really fast. So you see it's going triple speed. And now if I start drawing here, it might do like a flashing, yeah, because our brush speed just isn't fast enough. So let's go ahead and take care of that. Let me just turn that off, and then we'll erase these. Okay, so if I increase my brush speed, this is essentially how fast the brush is applying the strokes to the canvas. So if I make this, let's just crank it all the way up to fastest. This should work pretty well with our triple playback speed. So if I start looping and then start drawing, you'll see that you get this sort of blurry, streaky guy that's coming across here. Oops, I'm still drawing. Now, if we were to play back at like a normal speed, let's see, pick up this red. If I play back at a normal speed and I have a fast brush, we'll get a very long streak, and you'll see that here. So if I go ahead and start looping and then start drawing, you get this very streaky effect. And that's good for, anything, really, whatever you can think of that needs to be sort of streaky like that. Yeah, So I definitely encourage playing around with these settings, the brush settings. All right, so next up, let's look at some of the more advanced settings here. So I'll go ahead and erase all of those, and I'm gonna open this up. It's gonna look like a lot, but it's really not too bad when you just look at each setting. So let's turn this back to normal, and we'll put this back to normal as well. So I open this up, and we've got a whole bunch of settings here. They're in the section that they belong in. So looping and stopping at end. So this is all having to do with playback, whereas the limit drop frames, the growing brush, the color changing, this all has to do with the brush. So those two are separated out. And actually, quick little thing here. If I close this and we open up the info section, you'll notice that our basic getting started, which we were just talking about, is here when you open up the info. And then each of the different options in the advanced settings has its own little help section. So you can just click on these sort of as a quick reference to any of this. And of course, you can reference this video as well by clicking on this video here, or sorry, this button here. And you can get back to the loop draw page there. So, okay, so back to the advanced settings. We have certain things here that we can use. We'll start right from the top here, and we'll go with looping tag. So this does precisely what you think it would. If we go ahead and create a new tag, when loop draw enters the tag, it's going to keep repeating inside of this tag. So if I hit looping tag, and then I go ahead and press my hotkey for is looping, which was 2 on my numpad, this will go ahead and continue looping in here. What's really nice about that is you can kind of have this cool build-up effect. Let me just increase my brush size a bit, and we'll go ahead and do this. So we'll start drawing, and you'll see that we get kind of this nice little build-up globby boy. And that's kind of one of the little uses for the tag, which is kind of cool. If we want to turn that off, we can either just uncheck that, and loop draw will continue looping outside the tag. And you can even do this while it's playing as well. So I can turn this on, and it'll loop inside the tag. And then when I turn it off, it'll just go ahead and go outside. Of course, this is also hotkeyable. I've got this set to 6 on my number pad. So I can turn that on and off with my number pad instead of having to click on that, which is quite handy. I do kind of recommend this layout. It seems to be pretty okay. You know, I'm using my left hand to use the number pad, and then just drawing with my right hand. So again, we can go ahead and start the loop, and then if I toggle that, it will just be inside of there, right? So then we can get some blobby boys going. And this also works with multiple tags. So if I have another tag, say over here, we can go ahead and make another tag. And then, yeah, just goes ahead and loops inside that tag. And we come out of it. I mean, it's looping this one if we want. We disable, we can loop in here again. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It's a nice little fun feature. Okay, so that's pretty cool. There's another option here called stop at end. So we'll talk about that next. And that essentially just stops at the end of the playback. So if I go ahead and toggle that on and we loop, it'll play through once and then stop. So if I come back here, it'll go ahead and just play once. So this is super useful if you do not want to have it actually loop around and continue going. So if I go here, and then let's say if I draw some pixels, let's go ahead and just remove these. So if I go ahead and draw down some pixels, so we'll do something like this, right? So now it's not going to come back around. It just automatically turns it off. So now we just have that, and then it's gone. So stop at end. It's a small little thing, but it's quite helpful. This also works with tags as well. So if I turn on the looping tag and we're at stop at end, essentially what will happen is it'll stop at the end of the tag. So this will enter the tag, and then it'll stop at this very last frame. So go ahead and turn that looping on, and you'll see that it stopped right at the end of the tag. So we can go ahead and pull that back, do this again, you know. So again, this is hotkeyable. I have this set to 7 on my number pad, so I'm able to turn that on and off with the hotkey. So I can turn this on, I can turn this on. It's really nice. It's quite nice to be able to toggle between, you know, stopping at the end. Let's see if I want to keep looping again. There you go. So it's nice. It's nice being able to set all of these hotkeys and have them set up. Again, having an extra number pad or something that you can use is quite helpful for this. Okay, so the next one that we're going to talk about is the append last frame. And this is kind of similar to end at last frame or stop at end, except for it's not going to stop at the end. It's going to continue growing this out. So if we go ahead and I just like to change colors every once in a while. Let's go with the pink. That's nice. And this also, again, it works with custom brushes and all that. So what if we have something like this? Ooh, hold on. Let's do this, do a little angle. Cool. So the append last frame. So we'll go ahead and turn that on. And again, this is hotkeyable. Let me see here. I have it set to 4 on my number pad. So if we turn that on, and then I go ahead and start looping and drawing, you'll see that once we get to the very end here, it's going to go ahead and add more frames. So I'll start doing this, you know, and then it'll go and it'll keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. Now we can go ahead and stop that. Now what's interesting is we could turn this off and it should loop back around while we're going. So now we have this stuff that's going on. Let's see if I get to the end here. It will keep appending and keep adding new frames even while we're not drawing. Now if I go ahead and turn that off, you'll see that it goes right back to the start again and continues looping. So you can use this in combination with all of the different hotkeys and do all sorts of fun things with it. Okay, cool. So that's kind of the looping side of things. Again, you can play around with the different speeds with all of these as well. It doesn't matter too much, I guess. These are kind of just how the playback is handled. But let's go ahead and get rid of all of these. I'm actually going to delete these frames as well. Cool. All right, so let's talk about the brush settings down here. So limit draw frames. So this is when I press the draw key, how many frames approximately it will draw. So if I go ahead and set this to say 5 frames, you'll see what happens. Let's get rid of these tags. We don't need these right now. I'll get rid of these. So now if I start looping and then we draw, it will draw for 5 frames. And that's pretty useful for, say you have like something like fire or something where you only want to draw those 5 frames. So now we can do it again. We can also do it again, right? So it only does 5 at a time. And that's what limit draw frames does. Super useful. And I thought that was a nice little feature to have. Actually, shout outs to Gizmo199 or at GameDevGizmo on Twitter for requesting the limit draw frames, sort of how many frames the drawing lasts. All right, so this next one, the growing brush, this one's actually really exciting. This one here will grow the brush size every 1 pixel per every 1 frame is what we have set here. So if I go ahead and let's just say I have a smaller brush, let's remove these. And so every one frame, it'll grow 1 pixel up to 64, which is the limit. So we'll go ahead and start doing that, and you'll see that it grows all the way up. So it keeps on growing, keeps on growing, keeps on growing until it gets to 64. Now if I turn that off, it jumps back to what we had for our original size, 7 pixels. So this goes ahead, it grows, and 64. So, and that last thing I just said is actually pretty important when you get into doing some smaller limits, right? So let's say if we want this to grow and only want it to hit 18, right? So then it goes back. Oops, let's keep drawing. So we'll go ahead, we'll draw, it grows, draw, it grows, draw, it grows. So this is pretty fun. And you see that it grows one pixel per every frame that it goes across up to the 18, which is our max size. So it won't go above the max size, which is cool. And then it shouldn't go below the minimum size. So the minimum size is used when it's going down. So if I set this to -1 per frame, and let's say that we start at something bigger, and I'll set this higher up so that it is able to use that. So now let's go ahead and do this, and you'll see that the brush will slowly shrink over time instead of growing. So now we have this where it's going to shrink down, all the way to our minimum, which is 1. And yeah, and it jumps back to the 64. So there it is. Yeah, super fun to play with. Again, mess around with these settings. You know, if you're looking for a very specific range, that's what this min max size is for. And then you can also adjust this. You know, maybe you want it to go 5 pixels every frame, right? Like really shrink like really quickly. So we can do that. And we'll go ahead and turn this on. You'll see that it shrinks much faster. So, right, there it goes. Woo. Right, then we can draw again if we want to. Draw again. And this is kind of the fun of loop draw, is that you can just, you know, iterate over and over again, right? So I could do that, and then I can bring this, you know, so we get a little bit of orange in there. Maybe we want to do a little bit yellow. So zoop, right? Something like that. Yeah. I have found something kind of useful here is the onion skin. So being able to see the frames before it. If we go ahead and set this to a little bit wider of a range, this will allow us to see the frames before and after. So if I start looping this, you'll see that we have some of those frames. And then we can kind of judge where we want to start drawing, right? So I can kind of see the yellow coming up. Oops. Oops. There we go. So you can kind of see the effect there. Yeah. We can turn that back off again. And actually, kind of similar to the onion skin, there's this create growing cells button down here. So you can kind of see that there's this like effect of, you know, ghosting going on. So we can use this create growing cells to do that. So if I go ahead and select a bunch of these and hit growing cells, it will do some crazy stuff. But this will essentially duplicate the frames over each frame, allowing it to grow, which is pretty handy. Maybe not in this case, it makes kind of a big mess, but you know, if you have something like a growing vine or something, maybe you have something like this. Let's make this a little bit smaller, and then we'll go ahead and do something like this, right? And then we'll select all of these, and we'll hit create growing cells, and that will go ahead and make this cool growing animation, which is pretty neat. And this works with custom brushes and stuff as well. So if we grab our Chocobo Buddy again, this is going to get a little cursed, but it's fine. So we'll go ahead and grab him as a brush, Control B. I'll bring him back over here. And we'll go ahead and bring him across. So I'll draw like that. So there he is going across. And then we'll go ahead and select all of these. I have no idea what's going to happen here. Growing cells. Oh my. So this has like a little effect here. Oh, actually, this kind of reminds me of like a skateboarding video or something. Hold on. Hold on. Let's get sidetracked. Let's get sidetracked for a second. All right, little chocobo. Here we go. We're going to gap it. All right, here we go. Boom. That gap though. All right, let's see. Nice. Okay, cool. So let's do something here where we show him up in the air and we'll do a growing cells there. So now we have this. Yeah, it's like a skateboarding video. Let's go. Okay, anyways. So yeah, that's the growing cells button. It's pretty fun to play around with, as you can see. All right, so for this last setting, we're going to go ahead and talk about the change color and what that does. So we'll go ahead and select a range of colors. So maybe these 3 orange and the white, and then we'll hit set colors. And what loop draw will do is every 1 frame, it's going to change to the next color. So it'll start on this color, and then this color, then this color, then this color, every frame. And it doesn't matter what color you have selected, it's always going to start with this color anyways. So even if I have this selected, and we go ahead and start drawing, you'll see that it will start with that color anyhow. And again, you can change the order of this however you like. But we'll go ahead and keep it default. So let's go ahead, just so you can see this a bit better. I'll change this to 10. And now every 10 frames, it's going to change to the next color. So we'll go ahead and start doing this. And you see every 10 frames, it will go ahead and change to the next color, which is pretty cool. Now, this especially works well when we combined it with the growing brush. So let's say we want to do some sort of like fiery kind of effect, right? So maybe we want to do like, I don't know, -3 or something every frame. And then we'll change color every frame. Okay, so we'll go ahead and hide these. The settings actually don't need to be shown for them to be applied. So we'll go ahead and just hide those like that. And then if we want to go ahead and do this, we'll go ahead and start looping and drawing. So we get this sort of thing here. Now it's not perfect, but you kind of get the idea. Maybe we could do something more of like, you know, change every few frames, let's say. So every 3 frames it'll change color, right? So now let's go ahead and stop looping, and then we'll go ahead and clear this out. And I'm just going to hide that. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and do this. And I'll continue looping. So we get something like this. And you can see kind of quickly we can do some really neat animations here. And like cool particle effects. Yeah. So that's pretty fun. And that's kind of how the color change and the growing brush work really well together. So I quite like that. You can also do it with the limit frame as well. So let's say we only wanted to do like 9 frames or something. So then the colors would change, or actually I guess it would be 12. So it'd be 3, 3, 3, 3, so 3, 6, 9, 12. So then we would get only to this color. So I guess I can show that. So we'll go 12 frames, which means basically we're going to go through each one of these colors and then stop. So we won't loop back around. Again, let's just hide these settings so it doesn't get in the way. And we'll go ahead and delete these. So I'll go ahead and draw, and you'll see that it stops at white, right? And then it just stops drawing. So now I can do draw, 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 and then it just resets. So now I'm not drawing anymore. So now draw, 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 and it's done. So now you always get it ends on the white. So that's pretty useful. Good combination of all three of those settings actually: color, grow, and draw limit. So yeah. Anyways, I hope you guys have enjoyed this little overview of the tool. Again, it's going to be a little bit longer of a video, but I think it's nice to have an in-depth showing of all of the features and how you use different things. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed. I do plan to put out more videos, so of course subscribing to the channel is always appreciated, and you know, give a little thumbs up, a little like, you know. I don't usually do that too much in my videos, but you know, it does really help. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Oh, jeez.